welcome back to the podcast. I know November we were doing a men's series and it's been such an enlightening season, to be honest. It's been very refreshing to have a fresh perspective on the podcast. I've had 3 male guests so far come on, and this is my last interview for this particular segment that we were doing in November for the men's series, to be able to have conversations but also get some insights from a male perspective. And so I'm very excited to be able to have our 4th male guest on the podcast. Welcome, David. Karibu.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So I want to get a bit more personal. I know we've really touched on quite a number of transitions, even in general. I want to speak about, maybe you could give us even just 3 major life transitions that have been there for you. I know that you're a husband. I know that you have your own career going on. I also know that you're a dad. And I know that you became a parent when you were also quite fairly young.
Yeah.
So maybe you could walk me through, as you go through your life's journey, some of the things that you felt that were major transitions for you, how they impacted you, and how you navigated it, more so from a man's perspective. I would really like to hear that. I think I'll say this before you start even, David. I think there's a certain amount of grace that men are not accorded. And this is what prompted even this series. We really we throw, there's a certain kind of grace that men don't get. Because also we created spaces for men to say, this is how I'm feeling, this is how I'm processing, this is how we see it. And I feel like with the understanding of how do they process, how do they see it, how do they understanding, that's when that grace begins to be extended. Because sometimes it's me hata sielewi, sijui ni nini, so then you just choose to be indifferent. And now there's this huge gap that's forming for, men are trash, men are this, they don't do. So just try and walk us through some of the transitions that you've had, just to give us a better understanding of some of the things that people go through from a man's perspective. I was just really sad. And then maybe chime in every now and then.
Okay. Let me start with education-wise.
Okay.
I am born and brought up in Mombasa.
Okay.
Went to high school in Thika. Then that transition was big because I came from a society, Mombasa Raha, there was a lot of culture shock when I went to a country for my high school studies, and I need to transition to this new environment where my coastal accent used to make me get mocked a lot.
Oh no.
They used to mock me because of my Coastarian accent, which I had to lose once I got to my second year of high school. I lost it completely.
Yes.
People don't even realize it that I have a coastal accent until I start talking with somebody from coast. It just automatically
comes up. Yeah.
So it made me, it singled me out in high school. It singled me out because now there's this strange boy from the coast who speaks funny. And so I had to go through that whole ordeal of being mocked to the point of forcing myself to change and adapt to that environment.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because it's like, then let me try and be like them, and then I'll be one of them. And then I won't stick out like a sore thumb.
And then they will stop teasing me. They'll stop talking about me and things like that.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in Form 2, my brother was coming in as in Form 1. And that was the first thing I had to try and help him maneuver, trying to make sure that he understands the teasing and the things like that. So after that, I went to
Mhm.
uni
Mhm.
in Uganda. Another culture shock because
But me, I really love this because your parents are kind of exposing you to different ninis, to different cultures, different experiences, and it really comes full circle.
and I used to
Usually,
and I realized this when I was interacting with people and realizing, and mostly
yes,
when I was going back home and interacting with people who I left at home, who went to high school at home,
yeah,
who never left the
mm-hmm.
coastal environment. They didn't understand what
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the world feels. And note, that's the time where we didn't even have internet as such. So
Yeah,
what I was experiencing going to Thika, going to Uganda was totally new. I could not Google it. There was no Google.
and the
I could
experience stayed there. So it's you who carried it back to uko kwenye uko to kind
exactly
of now tell the other. Yeah,
because they were listening to me and like, hey, actually, even your English is different. The way you talk,
yes,
the way you
mm-hmm.
perceive things. Because I went out and interacted with people who had new technology or new things in their lives that Coastarians didn't have at that point. So I was going
Yes,
back home and people are looking at me as zile za, hey, you are you're exposed to the life now. You are
yeah.
walikuwa nasema babi
Yeah.
msoto, as in you look expensive but we know we ni mtu wetu.
Lakini
Then
wacha nikwambie, babi msoto wendanga far cause ni resources tu. Tofauti ya babi msoto na babi ameomoka ni resources tu. But the knowledge,
no
the exposure yote ni the same.
no the knowledge and exposure is the same, but the purchasing power is
Yeah.
different.
Sasa shida ni hiyo. That's
Hiyo
where the
ndio
difference comes in.
Eh. So that's what I went through. Then when I found out I was a father, as in unajua ile umemaliza your last paper and you're umemaliza your last paper jana, today you are about to
Yes.
get into your bus back to Kenya, start your your post university life. That's when I found out I was a father, and that changed me.
So what was that experience like, first of all?
Please note, I'm getting this phone call that I am a father.
Yes.
In a bus headed to Nairobi from Kampala.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep. Most times on a bus ride like that, you sleep, you wake up, you sleep, you wake up. I didn't sleep.
Mpaka ufike.
Because my head is calculating, now what? And note, I thank God for my father for one thing. He always taught us take responsibility. And that's what...
That's huge.
So I knew I had to take responsibility. I had to change the life that I was living. And I think, I won't lie, my daughter actually helped me not turn out like some of the people that were around me. Because some people I know left uni and started sherehe. The first paycheck, sherehe. I left uni wanting to start a business so that I can make money before I am hired somewhere. So I left university, went straight to Mombasa, started a event organizing company there. And every cent was going back to my daughter.
As in, of course it was, because now the game has changed. Now it's not just you.
Exactly. So that, as in, if people were talking about, nobody will understand the immense load that diapers have on a new parent.
And it's shit money. It's shit
money because unaenda buy like 2 packets. After that, the end of that week unaambia by the zimeisha. How? I used all the money I had to buy these 2 packets na kumbe zimeisha. As in, there's
you know, a newborn has 6 diaper changes in a day.
I'm telling you, you learn the hard way. You learn that but the birth time for a 1.5, 2-year-old is not the same. As in, if you haven't gone through birth time, during that stage where you umemtoka
Yeah.
tayari you had to go through hell washing her. For me it's a daughter. I'm washing her.
Yeah.
She's playing with water, she's playing with soap, she's playing with everything. So we finish bath time.
Yeah.
We go to the
Yes.
bed I'm changing her. Just putting on the pampers is a whole ordeal. Then now as in every hata ukieka mkono kwa nguo mkono moja amekimbia, she's everywhere again. You run around, shikilia her, pin her down, put on the trouser, she's kimbiad again. You're running around again, put her down, socks, all that. So
What are socks? Yes.
And waking up in the middle. Okay, sometimes it's said that men don't really take responsibility in the early years. The woman is the one who goes through sleepless nights because waking up to feed and things like that. Yeah, the mother of my daughter did not know that. After feeding, okay, sawa, Amelia, I go take her from the crib, bring her next to the mom. She feeds my daughter. Then it's my work to get her back to bed. So
Back to sleep.
I will never forget standing,
Yes.
as in falling asleep while standing, trying to bembeleza her to sleep. There are people who will not. And you see, all that gave me that character development to understand responsibility at a very young age, where most of the people around me were calling me, "Oh, we are out. Let's go out." My money has already been used to buy new toys, buy new clothes, buy blah, 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 blah that my daughter needs. So I learned responsibility early. And I learned how to run a business early. And then after that, I could not handle the finances in Mombasa with what I was getting. I knew I needed more.
Yeah.
So fortunately...
I wanted to ask, did you feel immediately, because there's something to be said about transitions also. I know I personally, for the longest time, when I found out I was going to be a mom, first of all, I found out when I was almost 4 months along. I know I was shocked. Of course, I know it's kind of odd to say, but of course I was shocked because I wasn't actually doing that activity waiting to have a baby. So it was kind of like an oopsie pregnancy. Not kind of, it was an oopsie pregnancy. And I remember immediately, because I'm very solution oriented, immediately going into problem solving mode, and also as a result going into survival mode. So the shock of where, and also just processing how life has changed. Instantly, you're responsible for this person. You feel like you're constantly in a state of sink or swim, but you have to get it done. Do it. I want to know, what was your mental headspace during that particular time? Because that's a huge transition you're making. And even just owing to the fact that umesema, okay, I've been told I'm going to be a dad. I'm taking responsibility. I'm rolling with the punches. What was your headspace in that particular time? How are you mentally?
First thing, freak out zile za, how am I taking care? I am still young. How am I taking care of another human being? I'm not ready.
Yes.
I am not ready. That was freak out number 1. Freak out number 2 was, as I told you, we have a background of taking responsibility and making sure that you step up as a man. And that's the first thing I was thinking. Okay, how do I step up? How do I become the man that this child should have? And that's when I went into, as you said, survival mode. Zile za, okay, I have to use the small knowledge I have to make some money. What can I do? I can design, I can edit, I can shoot. I look for kibarua here and there, because that's why I told you I was in Mombasa, and Mombasa was not doing it for me, because it was always a kibarua, just enough for that week, just enough for that day. And that frustrated me, because I wanted her to have the best life. I didn't want her to want something and lack it.
Yes.
So
I hear you.
So you go into survival mode. Zile za, okay, first things first, I need to figure out where I'm going to get today's money, today's food, today's pampers, today's diapers, blah 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 blah, food, blah.
Yeah.
So you are in survival mode on how do I accomplish that today? But you don't want it to just be today. How do I accomplish that for this week? How do I accomplish that for this month? That's when you go into employment, because you know you have money that you can actually plan on. So that's the first thing that hits you. That panic, then survival. Then now what? I want more. I want more. You actually want more, not because for satisfying your needs. You're trying to get more to satisfy her needs, your daughter's or your son's needs, and that is what motivates you to work and motivates you to even push even more. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now you've transitioned, you've embraced fatherhood. You're just like, it's here, I might as well. So now you move from coastal. You talk about the transition from high school. That's a huge culture shock because you're born and raised in Mombasa, umekuja high school, umekuja Thika. That is done. You've gone for your tertiary education in Uganda. You've come back a dad. Ulitoka huku ukiwa kijana barobaro. Sasa umerudi ukiwa baba ya wenyewe.
So
now you transition.
Nimerudi kwa baba nikiwa baba.
Ukiwa baba.
Mimi nakwambia, I tell you this, that was a transition and a half, because I'm at my father's place and I have a kid. My parents know I have a kid. And the pressure, or my father's pressure was, you need to figure out how to provide for this kid. You need to push yourself. So that pushed me to Toka home, travel to Nairobi, because I got an opportunity to work on there's a guy who used to own a club in Coast. I'll never forget him. Bruce Odhiambo. Bruce Odhiambo used to have...
I've heard of Bruce Odhiambo.
Yeah, Bruce Odhiambo. I'll tell you why you've heard of him. Bruce Odhiambo had a studio in Nairobi and used to have businesses, family businesses in Mombasa. One day he wants a quick poster and some animation done for one of his clubs. He's told, hey, there's this guy that you have to work with. He calls me. It gives me a computer. The first Mac I ever touched. Gives me a computer and tells me, I want you to tengeneza this poster and make it an animation for the screens in his club. Sema sawa. I did it. He called me for the next job. I did it. Then after a couple of months, I get a call. Hey, you guys, you need to come to Nairobi. There's a job Bruce Odhiambo has gotten and needs your expertise. Okay. Here I am, coming all the way to Nairobi. I only know 2 or 3 people, and one person kubali to house me while I went through that.
Nice.
Because he was a colleague also that had been... We were working with him in Mombasa. Then he was called by Bruce. Then Bruce and him called me for this project, and now we were working together. And he accommodated me where he was living. So we worked on this project. It was a big project for Ministry of Finance at that time. And it so happens that His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was the finance minister at that time. So we got this job. We went all through, I don't know how many at that time it was provinces. We went through provinces.
Another transition,
I'm telling you. We went through provinces. We did all that. We documented all the things that the finance ministry was doing. Gave the job. They loved the job. We continued doing work. I was told, you know what? You're not going back to Mombasa. We have another job and another job and another job. Kidogo.
Oh my.
I'm told. Hey, sometime I'm called by Bruce. Told, hey, come to my house immediately. Seated there is the audio producer, me, Bruce, and a young man at that time called Sakaja. We sat down and came up with a campaign for TNA. I came up with the first drafts of the logo of TNA. The dove with the...
You don't say.
With the Kenyan colors all over.
Yes.
Yes, that's what we came up with. We even went all over Kenya again for 2 weeks, coming up with a campaign called I Believe. I believe in a Kenya security. I believe we documented all that.
I remember
we did
that
all that.
campaign.
I'm telling you, that was my exposure now to professional work. So I'm there. Yeah. The job was good. I was doing all these things, but I wanted more because I felt as if I wanted more for my daughter. So kidogo, I applied for, I saw a job online. I applied for it. Kidogo, I'm being told, come for the interview. And I'm looking at the address. My former boss's office was at China Center. These guys are telling me, come to China Center. I'm like, what do you mean come to China Center? Okay, where? Second floor. I work on the second floor. What do you mean second floor? That's again, kumbe, where I used to work at my former bosses and where they're called flexi personnel is right opposite where I was working at the time.
And see how God works.
It just felt like this was, God had just aligned things. So mimi, nimefika
That's
interview.
such a seamless transition.
Kila mtu. Everybody is seated at the benches outside, waiting for the interview. Nimeingia job kwangu where I'm currently at. Took coffee in the morning, relaxed, blah, blah, blah. I told the person who was there, call me when it starts moving. It's close to my turn. He did. He called me. He came to where I was, called me. I came, sat, did the interview, then was told, at that time I'm living in Langata. I'm like, okay, this job might be taking me very far. Anyway, I'm okay. Next, I'm hearing, you qualified for the second round. Where are the second round interviews? Wilson Business Park. I'm like, wait, I thought I had to go far.
Yeah, that's in Langata.
This is even a shorter commute.
Yeah, that's along Langata Road.
Went to the interview. Passed my interview because I think I was too friendly with people. I was even asking some of the people who had come for the interview, talking to them, asking about their experiences, what they have been doing. Even when I was at the interview, we were vibing with my boss who is in Gold Coast at that time, but through the Zoom call interview, we are vibing, we're talking with everybody, and I went not even thinking about her getting this job, because already I was at a job and I was like, if I don't get it, it's okay. It wasn't meant to be. I'm just getting to the new job. From the interview, I was going back to the new job. Just got there and I was told, by the way, you got the job. I'm like, okay, new transition. From that job to a desk job where I sit all through from day to night. I mean, from morning to evening. So that was the new transition. New job, new environment, new responsibilities, and at least a stable income that I can take home and make sure that my daughter is living well. And I think God just knew that I needed that new transition, a new job. Went there.
In a sense of stability.
And that's where I've been so far. Yes, of course, I've worked on side projects that have some of them known, popular, some of them not that popular, but I thank God that through that opportunity, those opportunities that I've had, interacting with so many people, because at some point, in between working at China Center for Bruce Odhiambo, I worked for Big Ted. I have worked for a guy called DJ Space. I've been able to be exposed to a lot of people. So I thank God for all those experiences, because they helped me get where. And the reason why you remember Bruce Odhiambo is because, unfortunately, when Uhuru got into power, he doesn't forget the people that helped him get there. So Bruce was given a title, deserved. I think it was deserved. He got a title. He was the CEO of what is this cash that was being given out in Mtaani, CDF. He was the CEO for
Oh,
CDF. Chairman. I think he was chairman of CDF. And he had all these scandals.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I do not know what happened there. I was already out of that circle when he got that job and everything happened.
Yeah.
At that time, I was already in my new job. So,
but also another thing I remember, I think why I know of Bruce Odhiambo is I've had people when they talk about their musical journeys, like he's mentioned in some spaces. You hear Bruce Odhiambo did this, or I worked with Bruce Odhiambo on that. So I've also had him in certain spaces being mentioned.
Through that job at Bruce Odhiambo, I've met Nonini, I've met even Sauti Sol before they became Sauti Sol, Camp Mula before they became that big, and I have been able to interact with even Bamboo and all this. As in, I've seen all this. What was the P Unit when it was P Unit? I've met them through Bruce. As in, I will not lie. I've met so many people through Bruce that I would say that he's one of the people that has impacted my life. I will never forget one of his rules or mottos that still sticks to me right now. You're only as good as your last job.
As your last job. I've had someone say that. You're only as good as your last job. And that kept me improving, making sure that I improve my talents. I always strive to find out what's new in the technology realm and use that. So yes, I think that is that's where I am right now. I'm still at the same company, but I've evolved Pia in the same role. Yes. Okay, cool. So as we talk about work transitions, I want to talk about navigating the corporate world, because it's something about how you move as a creative. And then when you come into the corporate scene, which is more serious, and everybody's just trying to find their way to the top and trying to get a small piece of the cake that is there. Talk to me about that. Navigating the corporate scene, office politics, trying to improve on your own craft, trying to get comfortable. Because then, at some point, I think we also really sell the narrative for next, onto the next. But there also comes a time where your next is just like, okay, I'm happy with this one now. I want to build here and I want to see how far I can also take it. What was that transition like for you?
I will not lie. The transition between having a job where I get to travel, a job where I interact with so many creatives, a job where I was always active. I wake up active. Even going to sleep, I know following day I have to be at somewhere else, shooting a wedding, shooting a music video, editing a music video, documentary, blah blah. I was always active. Then when I went into a corporate world where sit and finish what you need to finish, I think that was one of the biggest things, because that discipline, there's a discipline that you will have to come up with. A discipline where you have to discipline yourself on hours. You're supposed to be there by 8 and leave, as in do your 8 hours, go back home at 5, as in that kind of, I don't want to use the word monotony, but that monotony needed discipline. Many people have tried it. There are people who have actually, where I work currently, people have come in and gone simply because they cannot handle an 8 to 5 Monday to Friday where your work is just to sit down and edit. So I would say the biggest transition is discipline. Discipline yourself not to get bored or stale where you are, because sometimes you feel as if a corporate job means you have become boring, stale, you don't use your imagination anymore. But in real sense, you have to discipline yourself to be able to still be creative in a very structured way.
Kind of restrictive environment to some extent, in quotes. I'm going to use restrictive, but I love the discipline that comes with a corporate job, simply because
you have to you have to accomplish a certain task in a certain period of time. So it's not about I can be lazy with this one and take my time. No. You have deadlines, you meet those deadlines. And I love that skill that I've gotten. It has helped me build up.
True. I hear you. And I've seen it as well, because I know I've watched you work. Of course, the nature of your job was very different from what it is that I was doing, but I can definitely see what it is that you're talking about. I want to dive into something that we cannot escape this conversation, not having talked about it. Let's talk about mental health. You've transitioned through a lot of things. Of course, during this time, now you're there, you're working. There's the issue of relationships. There's just even you evolving as a man. You're coming out of your 20s, you're going into your 30s. Now, next year, you'll be in your 40s. I want you to talk to me about your mental health journey. I know there was even a period where you got into like a fitness kind of phase and you lost weight. Tell me about your mental health journey, and just trying to get into, and life always throws us curveballs. Men and women are like, there's a man that you want to be and genuinely want to aspire to be, especially being a parenting has a way of making you want to anyway just show up as the best version of yourself. Talk to me about that. Was there a season in your life where you kind of struggled with your mental health? Was there something that also just kind of jolted you to want to kind of transition into or carve yourself out into the man that you wanted to be? And looking back, maybe for generations to come, maybe people will say, this is who Guka was, this is who my dad was. What was that like for you?
Well, it was a challenge. It's been a challenge, and it's still a challenge to now, because as you say, there are different facets of life that have helped me shape my mental and physical health. One thing I had to learn when I transitioned into a corporate job was most of the time actually I got into the corporate job when I was, I think, just hitting my 30s. I was 20 something going to 30.
Nice.
And I felt like I needed to settle down. Plus I needed I needed to be responsible for my daughter, in that I needed a stable job with a stable income that I can plan for. I know school fees inatoka wapi, food inatoka wapi, clothing inatoka wapi, everything. So through that transition to corporate, it motivated me to stay in corporate because of the constant income coming in. But
and it creates a certain sense of stability, which is really good as you grow older.
And that is actually what you strive for when you go into corporate, stability.
Yes.
Then, while at the job, I still have to make sure that my daughter is taken care of, everything is okay with her.
Yeah.
At the same time, from a job where I used to always be physically active, I've gone to shoot. I'm traveling all over Kenya shooting documentaries and things like that. And then going to a situation where I'm waking up very early in the morning to go sit down the whole day, come back home, tired from sitting all day, sleeping and doing the same thing the following day.
Tomorrow.
So it took a lot of mental discipline to transition from being mentally active and physically active to knowing that I have to be at work by a certain time, leave at a certain time, finish my work by, all that. So mentally, I had to discipline myself to be into corporate. Next transition was physical. For the first 5 years, I think it was okay. I think I gained a lot of weight since I was no longer active the way I used to be active. I wasn't walking around, shooting stuff. So basically I was seated throughout. That was a transition.
And work takes a huge part of your time as an adult. It's just the way our kids spend a huge part of their lives in school.
Exactly.
So
So I gained a lot of weight. but with weight gain comes a lot of physical, changes and problems, because now I was adding extreme weight. I was extremely obese at some point.
Yeah.
And that caused me to have problems with my health. I was diagnosed with diabetes at that time.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was still at Ecom when I was still at my corporate job when I was diagnosed with diabetes. The weight gain
I had no
also,
idea.
Yeah, the weight gain also caused me to have something called sciatica, where you feel pain on your lower back and it stretches all over down. Okay, for me it was my left side, so you feel pain on your left lower back, and it goes all the way to down to your feet. There's a whole it's a nerve that has been pinched to the point that you feel that pain. If you step on something or even try to stand up, it refuses. I couldn't go to work for I think a whole month because of it. Wow. I had to stay. I was bedridden throughout, but through weight loss, exercise, and a lot of medication, I was able to conquer that. I went from being 120 kgs to 80 kgs.
Yeah, that's no mean feat.
Yes, it took a lot.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, years later, like I want to say 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I went for medical checks and found out that there's a steroid I used to take back in the day to help with my allergies that caused me to have even more problems, considering that my lifestyle was also sitting down the entire day, not exercising as much as I should. I currently have an autoimmune disorder. So that means healthy cells being eaten up. So I got super thin, as in super, super thin. That
I'm so sorry to hear that. Because I saw there are times I used to see videos.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on until I got that diagnosis of an autoimmune disorder. So yes, it's been a challenge, but I'm working through it.
Man, I'm really sorry to hear that. I had no idea. Of course, the times I saw, I was like, I know he lost weight, but he's really lost weight.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, more grace to you. More grace to you.
But that's the thing. You always have to figure out, discover what is wrong, but don't dwell on what is wrong. I think my upbringing is what changed how I perceive things, because people were concerned the first time I was diagnosed with diabetes, telling me, I'm sorry, are you okay? I was like, wait, the only thing that is changing is my diet. So why are you people, and just remembering to take medication, why are you people all afraid of my mental health at that point? I didn't understand that I had coping mechanisms that helped me transition through that, through finding out that I have an autoimmune disease. People were concerned, oh my God, you'll have to take medication from now on. Yeah, I've been taking medication since I was a kid, so I know what to do to transition through all that.
Yeah. Oh wow, that has been quite the journey. So I'm going to ask one last thing. I know we are both parents. I really love that you're a hands-on dad. I think I've had the privilege of interviewing a lot of hands-on dads on the podcast for this series. I want to ask you what parenting is like now that your daughter is significantly older, and just maybe put out some of the things that you're kind of projecting for yourself, or kind of working towards, even as you get into your 40s. I think your 40s, how when you are in your 20s, you're told your 30s are like your 20s, but with more money. I feel like your 40s are like, it's like now there's the money also, but there's also the wisdom. And then there's a settling that comes in. Because by that point, you're so solid in who you are you don't give don't give a bleep about Siji's opinions, Siji what. You're just so set in your ways, and you're kind of on your own path and your own journey, and there's a peace that comes with that. And so if you kind of tap into that energy, you can really enjoy your 40s. So maybe I would like to close it at that. What's parenting for an older child like for you now? And also what's the future looking like for David?
Let me say this. I didn't add
Yes.
the fact that I got into a relationship. I got
Mm-hmm.
into a very serious relationship, which
Mm-hmm.
I call marriage. I call it currently.
Yes.
I call it marriage because I'm married. You know, people
Yes.
misuse relationship terms because they feel as if calling her my girlfriend means I am not I am not fully committed there. Me, I'm committed completely. So I say I am married, and I am married with a grown child. So I have two children.
Yes.
I have
Yeah.
I have the teenager, and I have the one who is now 20, in her late 20s.
Also, you have
So,
a bonus daughter,
I
yes,
have
as a result of your marriage.
Brilliant bonus daughter. So,
Love it. Love
fatherhood-
that for you. Yeah.
yes, so fatherhood has also transitioned in the fact that I no longer just have a teenager.
Mhm.
I have a whole grown daughter who has her own mind, her own perspective, her own
Yes.
ambitions in life.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so
Mm.
I am there to facilitate that. I'm not my responsibility to my teenager and my responsibility to my older daughter is different. I have the
Yes.
responsibility of nurturing, caring, and impacting value on my teenage. But my older daughter has her own values, her own ambitions, her own challenges that I am there as a guide. I will never force my what is it called? My values, my thoughts on her at this age.
Yeah.
Simply because she's creating her own values for her own kids.
She is. Imagine she's creating her own value system. She's coming into her own.
Yes,
Yeah.
my work is to help. My work is to advise. My help is to guide. Never to tell her this
Yes.
is wrong, this is right. No. She's old enough to figure out, okay, I can take this, I can leave this alone.
Yes.
Anyway, so
yes.
right now as a parent, I
Yeah.
believe kwanza the transition I'm doing is 30s. Unajua 30s, it's realizing that you don't have the energy you had in your 20s. And
Yeah.
and you have in your 30s you have let go
Yes.
of some of the values or whatever that you grew up with or you were forced in your childhood, in your 20s to like unajua early in your teens and 20s you're forced by your parents to go to church. You are forced to adhere to certain values. But in your 30s is when you decide, I'm going to let go of one or two or three things, and I'm going to take up these new values, these new traditions, this new, mental thoughts of certain things that I was taught back in the day.
Yes.
Like I do not believe in doctrine. I don't believe in following somebody just because they said so.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
do those
I hear you.
What do those things that this person is saying
Yes.
reflect to my values? Do they concur to my values? If they don't, I will not follow. And that's your 30s. You're letting go of some.
Yes.
You're taking up some other things. You're stabilizing yourself, and your character, your values, your mindset now starts to solidify. I believe my role coming into my 40s is just basically these are my values. As in, there's nothing. I can't wait to be that old man that says stuff that is outrageous for young people, but he knows he believes in this. And I can't wait to be old. You don't realize how much I can't wait to have gray hair. I want the Morgan Freeman look. I am ready.
Please, we are putting that out for you into the universe.
You know, I'm ready to be old. I'm ready to be called Guka. Once I have a new, I already have a name. Even before I have my grandkids, I'm Guka Dev. Let them know in advance.
There you go.
I'm Guka Dev.
Come on.
So I'm ready.
I love that for you. One of my favorite, because I know I've been exposed to a lot of extended family, and unfortunately he passed on this year. He had cancer. Was one of my favorite grandparents was called David. He was so cool. He was so cool. You know, some people just look like they have it together. Like he's set in his ways with his spirituality. He's in touch with God, but he's also just a really cool person. So I remember that when you say Gukadev, I think of as we used to call him Babu Devi.
Yeah,
that's what we used to call him.
I might change Babu Devi even.
I used to call him Babu Devi.
Yeah? More mature, more. Ukisikia Babu Devi akiongea, ogopa.
Unaka chini, my friend. And he's honestly, he was so cool. And he lived a full life. I was even talking to my mom about this the other day. I was telling my mom, Mommy, do you realize that people who just realize hii ni life yangu, nami nasonga nayo kaende, and I'm living it to the fullest. If there's something I want, I'm going to go for it. Those people don't stick around for too long. I know you remember Lillian. Do you remember Lillian, the one I used to work with, who passed on, God rest her soul? Remember the guy Lillian used to eat life with a big spoon. She was here to do what she wanted to do. If she needed something, she would go for it. If it's a car, she will work towards it. She will buy it. And see how, Lillian left really young, and it's unfortunate that her kids don't get to experience her at, as they grow up. But me, I feel like her life was really, it was full circle. It was full circle. Yeah.
And that's the thing. You always, with every transition in your life, in your surrounding, I think the best thing is, how do you want to be perceived through after that transition? As in, the best way to be able to move through a transition is by visualizing who you will be after, so that you know what steps to take during the transition. Like, I'm currently going to be 40 next year, and I'm looking at my 40s and I'm trying to figure out, who am I in my 40s? I know the 30s, who I've been in my 30s, but there's somebody I want to be in my 40s. Before I get to my 50s, there's that transition I have to be. There's that person I want to be during that process. And there's certain steps I'm taking right now. I don't call them resolutions. I call them goals. There are certain things I want to accomplish before my birthday next year in April. I want to accomplish a couple, even if I don't accomplish all of them, but I need to accomplish more than half of what I want to do. That way, I have my stepping stone to my 40s. That way, I know when I get to my 40s, it's not about, I'm freaking out, what am I doing now? No, I've already set up steps to help me transition to the next step.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Love that for you. Yeah. April babies in the house. You know, my daughter is an April baby, so I'm really biased. But I think April babies are so cool. There's a kanini they have. There's like a swag they have. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
I look around me. People born in April move different. I know so many people. Yeah.
The best babies, the best people, the most creative people you'll ever meet were born in April. Note, we still have to fight attention on our birthdays. Like my birthday, most of the time land on either on the Easter weekend. So I've always had to fight for attention for my birthday, but I am still happy with it.
I know. April babies are awesome. There's like a blessing. There's like a sprinkle there that we need to know.
Nobody should lie to you. Aries babies.
Actually, it is there.
If you are an astrologer or whatever, Aries.
Yeah.
If you are a Christian, Easter, as in that is your time.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a special blessing that comes with April babies. 100%. I agree. I've seen it. I've seen it with my child. I've seen it with people who I know, even family still who have birthdays during that period. There's like a special season they have, and I if you have that, and yeah, good for you, good for you. Well, we have talked.
We
It's
have
been two
talked.
hours.
Hey,
It's been
this
two
has to be two
hours.
parts. It can't handle to be just one part.
Kabisa, kabisa, kabisa. We can't give all this goodness all at one go. Itabidi waichukue in stages. Because
It's true.
it's a lot. It's a lot. But thank you. Thank you so much for making the time. I think you're a well of wisdom. You're a well of wisdom. I've learned so much, to be honest. A lot has been jump started. Even me, you know what? I just turned 30 this year. Ministry, I usually had like a 30. And this year has showed me fire. So I can just
You
see
have
already
time.
the universe is kind of carving
You
me
have time to realize
to-
what's happening in your life, because there's a lot you'll have
Yes.
to change. There's a lot that you will
Yes.
embrace, and it's an awesome time
Yes.
to be.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good to hear because I can see, especially my circle, I've seen a lot of people that I have been losing. Some due to events, some were just kind of fading away from each other. So it's been a year where I have lost a significant part of things that I held on to, or even people or ideologies or certain beliefs. So I can already see how coming into my 30s, even next year as I turn 31, it's a season of transition. So I'm embracing it, but I'm also very open to the changes that will not be too comfortable, but I'm having an open mind even as I go through them.
And
Yeah.
and that is the key
Yeah.
thing, having that open mind, because do not be afraid. As I was telling you, there are things you let go and things that you will embrace. One of the things that you'll need to let go is friendships. There are
Yes.
certain friendships that
Yes.
are there for that season, and you'll have to learn who
Yes.
are there for the season and who are you are taking
Yes.
on to the next season. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. Some of the things that about you I didn't even know, I know now. I think your journey has really been wholesome. I honestly say this. I think some of the creatives that we have in our time get a rodeo. There are a lot of people out there who are popular for a lot of things, kazi zao zinaonekananga. And then there are people who we have even seen, like when you're talking about TNA and all of that, that are behind the scenes doing the work that we have no idea out of. And they are huge creative minds. They've done amazing things. And I think you're one of those people. And I hope that when people come back to listen to this, maybe years to come, will just know just how awesome you are. You know, you're not just a well of wisdom, but you're good at what you do. You have constantly made effort to perfect your craft and are continuing even to embrace, even as you get older and as you progress in your career, to work on your craft and just be an all-round awesome person that God created you to be. So thank you so much for taking time to speak to me. Is there any final words that you have, any final thoughts that you'd like to share with my listeners before we call it a wrap and I release you?
Thank you for that wrap up. That wrap up has actually said a lot. But
Yes.
yeah, I think at some point I have to come up with a podcast just about creatives in this industry and some of the things and people I've interacted with over the many decades that I've been around.
Yes. Please do.
Last words would be never ever be afraid of change. Do not run from it. Just figure out who you want to be out after that change has happened. Who would you want to be if somebody was to ask you, how do you see your 40s being? How do you see you as your 30s? Do not be afraid of oh my God, I'm turning 30. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. Oh my God, I'm turning 40. Oh God, I'm freaking out.
Yes.
Stop the freaking out and just imagine you at your 40s and make steps now to get you through that new transition. That, as we said, one thing that is permanent in our lives is change. And change means transition.
Yes.
Change means from one step to another, from being in your 20s to your 30s, from being in your 30s to your 40s, from being in a one bedroom from being in a bedsitter to a one bedroom, from being a one bedroom to a mansion, whatever it is.
Yes.
Just figure out who you want to be next, and that is that will help you go through that transition.
100%. I couldn't have ended it any better. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me.
You're welcome.
Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, that has been David for you. Please come back to the podcast and we can talk about even many other things, and you can give us more insights. I had so much fun on this particular episode.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, blessings to you and your family. Guys, this has been us. On this particular episode, we were talking about transitions and changes. I hope you have grasped something that has spoken to you. If you're going through a certain transition or a certain change in your life, please don't feel like you're alone. Remember, some things we don't have control over. What we have control over is our mindset, how we choose to embrace it, how we choose to move around it, and we just do life together. Thank you so much for carving out the time to listen to this particular episode. I will see you on the next one. Sending you love and hugs and all the good vibes. I'll see you soon.